Greetings to everyone watching this video. In this video, we will be discussing about the topic of AIDS and cancer. But before we move on to the main content, let us know more about Revise Me. So about Revise Me, we offer many quizzes, multiple play modes with a leaderboard, and exciting daily rewards and weekly GK updates. We also have a monthly mega quiz starting from this month in which you can go on and participate and win exciting prizes and rewards. You can also follow our Instagram page for updates. Now let us move on to the main content. Now when we talk When we talk about AIDS, what exactly is AIDS? हम AIDS को हर जगह सुनते हैं. We hear it so many times. We hear it in newspapers. Literally हर जगह हम AIDS को सुनते हैं या हम सब ने पढ़ा है. What is AIDS? AIDS का जो full form है, the full form is literally the self definition of this disease. It is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now, every word in this full form has a self-explanatory meaning of the disease. Acquired. Acquired का मतलब होता है it is taken. Acquired यानी it is taken in a lifetime. ये lifetime में इंसान grasp करता है यानी it is not congenital. Now when I say it is not congenital, it means that it is not present by birth. Not present by birth. It is not present by birth. Now, immuno. What is the meaning of immuno? Immuno is the immune system. Deficiency. Deficiency means something not working to its full potential. Not working to its full potential. And a syndrome are a group of diseases acting together. A group of diseases acting together. So basically we got an overview of AIDS. What exactly is AIDS? The full form of AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It means that AIDS is not congenital, it is acquired by a person in his lifetime, and it is such a deadly disease that it literally finishes off the potential of the immune system to fight off diseases. And it is not just one, but a group of diseases acting together on a person, which makes it so immune deficient that it ultimately is fatal. Now let us know more about AIDS, how is it caused and what really happens. So we need to know that AIDS was first reported in 1981, and till date AIDS and HIV have combined to form 25 million deaths globally. That's a huge number. 25 million deaths globally. It is caused by AIDS. It is such a deadly disease. Now, I said AIDS and HIV. So when I say AIDS and HIV, we need to know that AIDS is the disease, while HIV is the virus which causes the disease. There is a major difference between these two, and people use it interchangeably, which is not correct. HIV is the virus which causes the AIDS disease. So the entire point of discussion over this chapter would be on the HIV because it is the main causal agent of the AIDS disease. Now let us talk about HIV. HIV, it belongs to a group of retroviruses. It belongs to a group of retroviruses which have a RNA genome around them. They have a RNA genome around them. They have a RNA genome around them. Now, how is AIDS transmitted? Now, when I say how is AIDS transmitted, I do not say how is HIV transmitted, because AIDS is the disease which is transmitted from person to person. There is a major difference which needs to be understood. So how is AIDS transmitted? So the methods of transmission of AIDS are: firstly, by blood transfusion, by direct blood transfusion. Secondly, by having multiple partners for coitus, multiple partners for coitus. Secondly, the intravenous drug abusers who use the same common needles, the intravenous drug abusers. And lastly, it can also be spread from an infected mother, a HIV infected mother, to the baby. Now, the people at high risk are also self-explanatory. That is the people who undergo blood transfusion with an infected HIV person, HIV infected person, HIV infected person, the people who have multiple partners for coitus or engage in unsafe sex, the people who are intravenous drug abusers, and the baby who is about to take birth from an already infected HIV mother is at great risk of acquiring AIDS. So, but we need to also know that it is very important that AIDS, it is not spread. It is not spread by touching or hugging. AIDS is not spread by touching and hugging. So we really need to be compassionate around the person who has unfortunately acquired this disease, and we should not separate him, isolate him, or form a social stigma around that person. AIDS is not spread by touching and hugging, and it is absolutely safe to share your essentials with the person and share a common lifestyle with that person. Now, let us know more about AIDS and its body functions. So now what really happens is the HIV, once it gets into the body, it directly gets into the macrophage cells. Now what is the purpose behind this entry in the macrophage cells? That is, in the macrophage cells, these HIV viruses produce their viral DNA from the viral RNA with the help of enzyme reverse transcriptase. Transcriptase. So this viral DNA causes the formation of more viruses with viral DNA as it incorporates itself into the host cells DNA. Now what happens is, now the HIV is indirectly responsible for more virus particles, and thus the macrophages act as an HIV factory. The macrophages act as the HIV factory. Now, next what happens is these HIV viruses enter into the T helper cells of our immune system, and what they do is when they enter the T helper cells, they produce progeny viruses, the viruses of their own kind, which leads to great reduction in number of T helper cells. Now, what happens due to that? Let us see in a while. Let's see this diagram. This is the retrovirus with the viral RNA core. It infects the normal cell and the viral RNA is introduced to the cell. Now the viral RNA to DNA is produced by reverse transcriptase, whereas this viral DNA incorporates into the host genome. This is the nucleus and the DNA. Now new viral RNA are produced by the infected cells, by which new viruses are produced and they can infect other cells. In this way, macrophages act as HIV factory, and this is the mode of replication of the retrovirus. Now, when the viruses enter the T helper cells and produce progeny viruses, it causes a reduction in their number. Now, these cells are very important for our well-being. So what really happens is when their number is reduced, we suffer from ailments such as diarrhea, and blood loss occurs. Diarrhea, and blood loss occurs. And since their number is so reduced that we have absolutely no resistance, our immune system offers no resistance to diseases. Now when I say diseases, I mean the diseases which were easily avoidable diseases. The avoidable diseases. When I talk about diseases, I mean avoidable diseases. Avoidable diseases which were caused by fungi, bacteria. Bacteria, when I say, I'll speak of a light bacteria, that is the mycobacterium, and even the parasite toxoplasma. A normal person without AIDS could have easily defended itself against these diseases, but a person with AIDS cannot offer resistance even to these simple microbes, and that is why this disease is so fatal. Now, the test used for the diagnosis of AIDS is known as ELISA. It works on the antigen antibody principle. You'll learn about this antigen antibody principle in your chapter Biotechnology Principles and Processes later on. It works on the antigen antibody principle. The full form of ELISA is enzyme linked, kindly note it, enzyme linked immunosorbent, immunosorbent sorbent assay. It is ASSAY and not ESSAY. So it's enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. So that was all about AIDS. Let us move on to cancer now. So when we talk about cancer again one of the most deadly diseases prevailing in the human mankind. Now why is cancer so feared? There are basically I would say two main reasons for that. Firstly, it is contact inhibition. We'll talk about each of these in detail. It is contact inhibition, and second is the property of metastasis. The property of metastasis is shown by the tumors. Tumors. Now, what is contact inhibition? Now, when we talk about a normal cell, let's say this is a normal cell. Now, when it comes in contact with an other cell, it knows when to stop growing. Like this is a normal cell, this is a normal cell, this is a normal cell, right? It knows when to stop growing because of by the virtue of contact inhibition, it knows when to stop growing. Now, when the cancer cells, what about cancer cells? This is a cancerous cell, which I'm just drawing. Now, even when it is in contact with an other cell, it still continues to grow. And when it continues to grow like this, it forms a mass of cells. Now this it cells even after being in contact with another cell, it just continues to grow. These are the cancer cells. Now when they continue to grow, they form a mass of cells known as tumors. Tumors. They form a mass of cells known as tumors. So the cancerous cells do not have this property of contact inhibition. They have lost this property of contact inhibition. Now tumors. When we talk about tumors, tumors are again of two types. They are malignant tumors, and there are benign tumors. Let us talk about them on the next slide. So when we talk of tumors, there are benign tumors and there are malignant tumors. There are two types of tumors found. So what are benign tumors? Benign tumors are basically tumor cells which are confined in one location in the human body. These are benign tumors which are just confined at their location. They are confined. They are confined and they do not move around. They do not move around. They do not move around, so they cause relatively less damage to the human body. But the malignant tumors, they are very dangerous. These malignant tumors, they are actively moving tumors. They are movable tumors. They are movable tumors, and the most feared property they show is wherever the blood cells carry them, like when they carry with blood, wherever the blood carries them, they start a new tumor there. They start a new tumor. Now this property of this gets slowed there and they start a new tumor, and this property is exactly what is known as metastasis, which was referred to you in the previous slide. So what happens is the malignant tumors get carried away with the blood, and wherever they get slowed off, they start off a new tumor there, thereby spreading the tumor in the entire human body and making the human body susceptible. So this is the property, the feared property of malignant tumors, whereas benign tumors are relatively less harmful to the human body. अब हमें जानना होगा the causes of cancer. What really are the causes of cancer? Like how is cancer caused? So cancer, how is it caused? It is caused by a group of chemical, a group of physical, chemical and biological agents. These agents are relatively referred to as carcinogens. These agents are called carcinogens. They are of three types and they are known as carcinogens. Now, carcinogens, the chemical carcinogens, if we talk specifically about the chemical carcinogens, chemical carcinogens, they are again classified into two types. That is, either they may be ionizing radiations or they may be non-ionizing radiations. Now, when I say ionizing radiations, I will specifically referring about the X-rays or the gamma rays. And when I will talk about the non-ionizing radiations, I'll be talking about the UV rays. Now, what do these chemical carcinogens do? They cause DNA damage. These chemical carcinogens, they cause DNA damage, which ultimately leads to cancerous transformation of the cells. They lead to cancerous transformation of the cells. Cancerous transformation of the cells. ऑल्सो हमें ये बात पता होनी चाहिए कि जो ऑन्कोजेनिक वायरसेस होते हैं, ऑन्कोजेनिक वायरसेस आर अनदर नेम ऑफ द कैंसर कॉजिंग वायरसेस. तो these oncogenic viruses have viral oncogenes. What are the viral oncogenes? The viral oncogenes are the genetic material which code for the property of those viruses. ये होते हैं viral oncogenes जो अगर नॉर्मल सेल्स में गए तो उन सेल्स का हो जाएगा नियोप्लास्टिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. अगेन नियोप्लास्टिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इज अनदर नेम फॉर कैंसरस ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. अब वी ऑल्सो नीड टू नो दैट हमारे बॉडी में जो नॉर्मल सेल्स है ना, जो हमारे बॉडी के नॉर्मल सेल्स हैं, उनमें भी जो दो टाइप के सेल्स होते हैं, एक सेलुलर ऑन्कोजीन्स सी ऑन्क, या फिर प्रोटो ऑन्कोजीन्स proto-oncogenes. Even they could get stimulated and excited to cancerous transformation on exposure to carcinogens. So we need to be very careful about the carcinogens on exposure to carcinogens. So even they may cause neoplastic transformation. Now, when we talk about the cancer treatment, the treatment of cancer, we need to know about four methods of cancer treatment. That is CT, MRI, biopsy. You may have heard of this many times. CT, MRI, biopsy, and radiography. So CT, MRI, biopsy, and radiography. Now, in the treatment of cancer, surgeries are also done to treat cancer. Surgeries are also done. Surgeries are also performed. Surgeries are also performed for the treatment of cancer. Now, what really happens in radiotherapy is, radiotherapy में होता क्या है? Radiotherapy में क्या होता है कि जो cells होते हैं, the cells are lethally irritated. Not irritated, they are lethally irritated. That is, they are targeted upon. But अब हम सिर्फ उन्हीं cells को लेते हैं जिनसे हमें problem है, while taking care of the normal cells. हम कहीं उन normal cells को ना मार दें. We only try and attack the tumor cells. And immunotherapy भी होती है as a method of treatment of cancer. Immunotherapy. Now we have heard of the term chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is again a method of treatment of cancer. Chemotherapy. It involves chemotherapeutic drugs. It involves chemotherapeutic drugs. But these drugs have side effects. The chemotherapeutic drugs have side effects. And the common side effects are hair loss and anemia. So these are the common side effects of chemotherapeutic drugs. Also जो हमारे जो ट्यूमर सेल्स होते हैं, they can hide themselves from the immune system. Now when I mean they can hide themselves from the immune system, that is, they are not easily detected. So अब उनको detect करेंगे, we can only kill them once we detect them. So for detection we are given biological response modifiers which are known as alpha interferons. What do these do? What do they do is they activate the immune system. सिस्टम, ताकि हम इन सेल्स को आइडेंटिफाई करके मार सकें. So I really hope that you understood this topic of AIDS and cancer. I would like you to go on our app and attempt the quiz pertaining to this topic to test the level of learning. Thank you and have a nice day.